growth mindset. My name is James English, and I'm here with my co-host Gerren Sprauve, and we are here once again with Isaac Palmer. Some of you may have seen the first video that dropped. Well, Isaac reached out and had more to say, and so we're engaging with him again to capture the conversation once again and make sure that the additional context that was on his heart to share is shared with you, is passed on to you. So with that, welcome Isaac. Welcome again to the growth mindset, and let's jump right into it this time. So part of why, Isaac, you are a great guest for our audience is because of your story. For those that watch part one, they may have heard bits and pieces of that story, but I want to give you an opportunity to really share with the audience this idea of transitions of life and career, what that means and looks like to you personally, to your family, and the experiences that you've had, and then what that really looks like as you look down the road into the future. So give us an update on that, and we'll take the conversation from there.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate the time. Love what you guys are doing with this format and this media. My story is simple. When you talk about transitions, I started my professional career without thinking that there would ever be a transition. I left high school with this idea of get that career that's going to take you through retirement. And so a lot of pressure on finding the right career, which I think I did a good job of picking, but it never dawned on me that it would be inadequate at times and I would need to pivot. So quick background on me: started in healthcare administration, hospital administration, rose up to the level of CEO, did healthcare for about 25 years. And through family commitments, family desires, I transitioned out of healthcare about 4 or 5 years ago. And the way I look at it is it was fulfilling for a certain reason. And now that I am turning 50 next week, I am starting to, 50 next week. I am starting to transition into something I want to do till 60 or 65 or 75, depending on my energy level and what I can do. So my biggest learning from the last 5 years is transitions will happen, and embrace them and be prepared for them.
So something I've thought about since the first time we spoke, and I asked myself a question and I couldn't answer it. So I want to ask you the same question. You were blessed to rise quickly in your career to a senior level, and be at that spot with the perspective of, wow, I could be in this chair or a similar chair for the rest of my career. You just shared with the audience that you turned 50 next week, Isaac. You were a CEO. How long ago did you first hit the CEO chair? Just paint this picture of your rise and ascension for the audience.
Yeah, so I was in the CEO chair twice, actually. One at a very young age, at around 30, and I was not prepared for that. So did that for a couple years. But the second time was 2015. Wow, that's 10 years ago. So I was 40, and I did that for 5 years.
Okay. So at 30, you were a CEO. At 40, you were a CEO. And now you're 50, approaching 50. And the idea that and by the way, I became a VP before 30.
Okay.
I've held VP statuses or senior VP statuses since that time. I'm over 40. I'll just say that to the audience. So, getting to these senior positions at a young age, I'm interested in your perspective on what that means for the longevity of sitting in one place, as opposed to what we're experiencing, which is incremental change, incremental growth, but that growth is broken up into periods and sections that ultimately kind of take us along that journey. You understand the question I'm asking? Like, you can get to a place at 30. At 30, did you think you were going to be a CEO until 65?
I did. I did, because I thought that it was everything I wanted and needed.
Interesting.
It was
Go deeper on that.
I spent a lot of time in my college years picking that career, and I spent a lot of time investing in that career outside of college. And so I told myself that this was it. And so I projected myself CEO of a hospital, then CEO over multiple hospitals, system president, and on and on and on. But it became clear, not even after getting to the CEO level, but there were some smaller executive roles where it started to dawn on me that this is not everything I wanted or needed out of a career. And it started to be unfulfilling. And I was faced, actually, James, when you and I met at my role in
Yeah.
Florida. I think we met before, but we were working together in the same system in Florida. That's where we became friends.
Yeah.
That's when it started to creep up on me. And I thought I was going to quit. And I deep and I said, you know what? Let's do this. Let's chase this position, the CEO role, and let's do it just because you said you wanted to. Let's complete it. Let's take it all the way to fruition, and let's do it. So I just dug deep, bit the bullet, and looked the other way when things weren't right, and just climbed the ladder. And I don't regret that. I don't regret that. So to those of you that are on that ladder, keep climbing. Keep climbing. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It's just that's what defined that period. That's what I needed for that period in my life, and that's what I did. It doesn't serve me anymore. So I'm transitioning.
So going from a place where you're in the chair at 30, you see yourself in a chair or a similar chair for the rest of your career. So you're talking a long time. You had, significant amount of time left in your career, but you could see the pathway to these course corrections. We'll call them course corrections that you now experienced, and say you're about 20 years now into these adjustments in life. Talk about how those adjustments and where you are today, and how those adjustments have helped frame your perspective on 50 and beyond.
It's the biggest learning I take from this is know yourself. And I didn't start really paying attention to myself and being introspective
Mhm.
Until about 3, 4 years ago. But the more you know yourself and know it, and then you can figure out what you need and want, what your desires are, then you can start orchestrating those pivots and transitions that are necessary. I probably stayed in that career a little too long, but I mean, no regrets, because I've got a resume that I can build upon that's creating other
Right.
opportunities for me. But I probably stayed a little bit too long. I could have pivoted earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
When you say stayed too long in that career, what are you speaking about? Was it a position you're speaking of, or
In
is it an
healthcare.
industry?
In
Okay,
healthcare.
so in the industry of healthcare. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the audience, you've effectively now completely exited the healthcare arena. You were doing something completely different. And so this pivot for you wasn't just one organization to another, the culture here wasn't right, so I'm moving to another culture. It was a personally driven, introspective led pivot that is now leading you down a road that at your current place, you find some clarity, you find some fulfillment. So that's really what I want to draw out. A part of what I want to draw out for the audience today is, what does that process feel like? And the reason I say that, Isaac, is because I run into many people, and I know Gerren has too, that are stuck. And the process of getting out of that position, or getting mentally kind of unstuck, is one that is part emotional, part practical, and part, the self work, right? So I'm trying to make sure that as we talk, we connect to those things, because as people listen, I'm hoping from your story, they can find things and draw out some steps for them to go down the road of effectively becoming unstuck and finding value in whatever that next chapter is.
You know what drove me is a quote I heard from Jerry Seinfeld when he was talking about his journey from just doing small gigs to doing big gigs. And he said at one point he knew he had to quit his job and move to LA, or it might have been New York, wherever he was. He had to get into a market where there's a lot of opportunities for comedians and basically cut the tether, cut the line, and that's always sat with me because the the longer we're all in something comfortable. We're all in something comfortable, whether it's a W-2 or a career that mom and dad picked out for us, or a career that, it's got a great title and you get to flash your business card around. But when you start connecting that comfort to something that you really want to do, your passion, and you start building that transition, somewhere in there, you've got to cut the line. And I was fortunate in that some of life cut some of my lines for me. I didn't have to cut them all. So life got me out of hospital administration, and I was still in healthcare. And so that cut allowed me to start thinking, all right, so I made that leap and it's fine. Where else do I want to go? Because this landing spot is not where I want to be. And so my last leap is what I'm working on right now. And you're catching me in midair. I have jumped and I have not landed.
which is exactly why the timing, I believe, is perfect, because to hear you speak as clearly as you are, and I appreciate you sharing with the audience that you haven't landed yet and you are midair, because the landing spot has lots of uncertainty, lots of unknowns to it, I'm sure. And the confidence that you're bringing to it, Isaac, based on what you've experienced to date and the course corrections you've already been through, sets you up to not worry about whether the ground is firm, a little soft, because you're ready for whatever comes your way. Because the fulfillment that you have inside of you is enough to propel you forward through any adversity that you may experience. Is that a fair representation?
Exactly. Yeah. And we get caught up in being successful. So I'm just talking to those in the audience that are successful, however you define it, the world's success. Being successful allows you to go to cocktail parties, go to events, and when someone says, hey, what do? You've got a story, you've got a title, you've got a line that's interesting, and you can see people are looking up to you. I cut that tether. I do not have right now. I do not have a story. I do not have anything where people say, "Oh, I need to get to know you." I've got a past that's interesting, but what I'm doing right now, it's not interesting. It's not impressive. It's not. It doesn't fit the world's, success category, and I don't care. And it took me years to get to that, to realize that what you want to do with your time is more important than what people think of you. And I just so glad I got to that. I'll give you another good quote. I was watching the Martha Stewart documentary, which is amazing, by the way. It's amazing on several levels. But right in the middle, she said, what do you want to spend the rest of your life thinking about? Not doing, but what do you want to spend the rest of your life thinking about? Because she's capturing whatever you do, whatever adventure you take on, in your quiet moments, in your downtime, you're going to be thinking about it. So what is that thing that you want to occupy your mind during when you're trying to go to sleep, or first thing you wake up in the morning? And once I started focusing on that became, for the last, I've got
Mm-hmm.
another 10, 15 years of solid working life left. That became way more motivational than being a success. I would rather fail at what I want to do than succeed at what I don't want to do.
Snap that. Snap that line.
So-
That's a quotable for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You had something. You had something you were gonna.
Yeah, a couple things, man. So this is not the first time I've heard you say another 10, 15 years. So there's this 65 age that you are working towards. What is it about 65 in your mind that you feel like that's going to be? I don't want to say the end of completion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's that?
Okay, so this is a great question. I got to 65 because I think that's when Black men slow down. And so when I start thinking about working, I don't want to rely upon post 65 being physically able to do what I'm doing right now. So I kind of had in my mind, whatever you do. So 65 is what I plan my retirement around, which is the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is retire at 55. That's actually what I'm grinding towards, is to get out of this game in 5 years.
I got something.
Go. Keep going. You're on a run here. Keep going. I have mine too. So I'll wait till you.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. This is good.
So you just quoted Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Remember the quote now, right? What is it that you want to be thinking about? And you talk about this retirement. I'm just pushing you a little bit here. If you have a thought in mind of the things you want to think about for the rest of your time, and you're talking about this retirement, best case scenario will be 55. That's 5 years away. Then what? Then what?
Yeah, so then I see myself in a, man, where do I want to go with this question, this answer?
Yeah.
Real simply, I'd like to go to a semi-working phase where I do more thinking and speaking on topics than doing and producing income.
So it does. So Gerren, so what he said is the conversation we had this week. We're working now so that we can do what we want to do. We're doing what we have to do so we can do what we want to do. And those are the elements of what I hear, because Isaac shared, remember the last time, that his father is still very active. He's an activist in many ways.
Yeah.
That's in his blood and his DNA. And he's moving more towards his natural, kind of background and what his family's been into as he looks at this next phase of his career. So something tells me he's not shutting it down at 55 or 65. He's just moving to a different place on the spectrum of what work and effort and contribution look like. And again, he can correct and edit my words here, but it's going from needing to do it to being able to give.
So I spoke to a
Let me tell you what
gentleman.
I'm shutting down.
Oh, please, go ahead.
If I am successful at 55, I'm shutting down this gap between what my expenses are and what my income is. And so what I'd be shutting down is this push to gain. I've got 2 kids in college and 1 on the way. I would like to shut down the pressure to earn.
Is there an opportunity? Spoke to a gentleman this week. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. And he said, the quote that he gave me was, "All I have is all I need." And he said, "Gerren, rest on that." And this idea, not saying that it's wrong, but this idea of us pushing hard to get to a point where we can do the things we want to do. The question I ask myself is, could we be doing the things we want to do now?
Absolutely.
And they take care of our needs now.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that is a concept that the Japanese call ikigai.
Ikigai, yes.
Yeah, reading faces, see if you read the book. It's a popular book.
Yeah.
Gerren, you're on it? Okay. All right.
Yes,
So the ikigai is the concept of basically you never work a day in your life. If you do something that you enjoy and it's fulfilling, you'll never work a day in your life. And it produces, so what they say is you find out what you like. Let's say it's woodworking. And so for the most productive years of your life, you're earning money off of that woodworking. As you slow down, you just make less wood. You just do less projects, but it's something that you love. And so you can take that activity to your grave because it's something
you never stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never fully stop.
So
Mm.
I've been doing some inner work. I've been paying attention to myself. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I celebrate the fact that I took the leap as early as I did. I only worked for 3 years in corporate America outside of college, and then I took this leap. And if anyone were to ask me about the industry that I've worked in, my knowledge about the industry and the intricacies of it, very minimal. I know people, and I've lived the life of knowing people or learning people, and I've built a business through that. So I did it the way that I thought that I should do it. Not even the way that I thought I should do it. I just did it the way that felt right. Right? I was focused on people, and I happened to build a business. Strangely enough, now when whether it's the pressures of having children, the family, the mortgage, things of that nature, now that I realize that I've shifted my attention from what I did for the past 20 years to now, man, I need to make some money. All of a sudden, life has become more stressful for me.
So this is an interview between, but I'll ask you a question.
Sure.
So it's now we're at three. This is a three-directional or three-dimensional interview.
Yeah, good.
So you made your comment there suggested that even though you jumped out and spent 20 years in the entrepreneurial world and purpose-driven, and Isaac may have spent more than 20 years, but I've spent 20 years there.
Sure.
And despite the different paths, we all find ourselves at the same point.
Yes.
What do you believe is significant about that?
I need to think about that one for a second.
Let me give you something to start with.
Yeah.
The corrections in life that we were talking about with Isaac, doesn't matter where you are. They happen, they occur. There's a full reconciliation process to authentic living that will find you no matter where you
That will find you no matter where you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so lock yourself in a closed room, hermetically sealed vault, lock 3 more doors beyond that, so that it will still find you in that place. You cannot run from this.
Yeah.
And before our eyes close, I'm a believer that reconciliation, whether you say it out loud and bring people into the experience, or it's just between you and your maker, that experience, you will have that reconciliation experience. You will. So I'm not surprised that you are where you are, because when it's time for us to pivot and move on to the next phase of life, you can't run from it. It will find you. It found me.
Yeah.
It's found Isaac. It's found you.
Yeah.
We're not unique in that regard.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, where you talked about.
Go
No,
ahead.
please go ahead.
I don't think everyone finds it though, or it finds everyone.
I see. So tell me why you feel that way.
There are a lot of people that lack the introspection to pay attention to that discomfort or the mental discomfort that something is not right, and they push through. There are a lot of people that are perfectly happy with the superficial benefits that come with a successful career, and they keep on working. Never pivot.
So that's where I was going, because so what I agree with you on is, Isaac, everybody may not be able to identify what it is. They may not be able to have a mirror moment where they're like, okay, I've gotten to this place in life, all the pain, agony, stress, and things I've done, even all the success I've experienced that has led me to this very moment. I now see how those come together. I now get a sense of the purpose and the why, and why I've had some of the experiences I've had, and why I'm effectively the person I am today. I get it. And they may not live long enough to fix it, to improve it, or anything else, Isaac. But I'm saying everybody has I believe, again, personal belief, everybody has a moment in their life when all the pieces are there laid in front of them, and they have a healthy sense of not only how they've impacted people, but how people have impacted them. And those two things coming together, man, creates something in them that they choose how they react to next.
I'm listening.
You get what I'm saying? So again, a complicated topic, but one I believe, I spend a lot of time thinking about this, man, because when I see some of the stuff people do to other people on this planet, I struggle to believe that there's not going to be reconciliation of their impact on others.
We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
Jump in, Isaac. What thoughts come to mind?
My only thought was,
Let me put this in.
people that get that and get it late, I'm counting as not getting it. A lot of people just get it.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, you're right. I would
Fair
agree.
enough, right?
Fair
I would
point.
agree. Too late to do anything about it.
So the recognition is what I believe is a guarantee. Your time to improve it, change it, whatever, that is not a guarantee, because there have been things along the way that you just blown by the stop signs. You've just blown by, all these important things, and no matter how much the reverb has come back to you, you just push it away.
Yeah,
you see it all around us today.
Yeah. And to the point that Isaac was making, as far as people, they're happy and they push through, and I say seemingly happy and they push through.
So that's where I was going to go. That's where I was going to go next time, because I believe everybody has misery somewhere in their life. And I used a strong word on purpose, right? Because when I say misery, I'm talking about a part of their life they're not happy with. They're not happy where it sits right now. They feel like their contributions and efforts haven't produced exactly what they hoped it would produce. Man. Everybody has something like that in their life. And I believe that those are the moments of opportunity to dig, to explore, and to discover, okay, what I'm seeing and feeling is the impact of things in my life that I've not learned to deal with, that I've not taken the time to understand how I can improve my responses and reactions to. Sure. And you start to see the chain of events that ultimately gets you to a place where you're looking at something and you're so dissatisfied with it, but it's been connected to you the whole time.
Yeah. There's a philosophical idea that posits that you can't have real joy without pain. It's the knowledge of pain that causes you to seek joy and to appreciate it when you have it. And so conceptually, if you didn't know pain, would you know joy when you had it? It would just be normal.
Yeah.
So one of the Stoic philosophy concepts that I've studied the last couple of years that's really resonated.
That's exactly where it comes from. Yeah.
It was resonated with me is to remove the stigma from negative things happening in your life.
We talk about the sting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you remove the negative connotations of bad things that happen in your life, and you almost separate yourself from it and just see it as another, it's almost like the waves. It's just another adjustment, another up and down to your life that you will recover from, because 100% of things in life are temporary. It's temporary. So as you look at the bigger picture of your life, and you work to understand, why are all these things happening to me? Practicing, you and I do talk about this, practicing removing the stinger, that initial negative reaction, the woe is me, the pulling everything down on yourself, the feeling of guilt, and isolation, and all the things that come with that, removing that from the equation allows you to now see it as just for what it is, a moment in time. And then your ability to move on, right, with less baggage and less pain just propels you to what's next. And your recovery and resilience is now what defines you, as opposed to a bunch of negative stuff happening to you.
But I would add to that and ask a few questions about those negative things. Why did it happen?
You need to explore them.
What have I learned from it?
Yeah.
And so you can easily get yourself into a mindset that says the negative things I'm going to learn from, the positive things I'm just going to soak in and enjoy. Every positive moment I'm going to live in now and be present, because it is also temporary. So enjoy it while it's happening.
Yeah. So the removing of the negative emotion allows you to look at it more quickly and more completely. Because when you turn it upside down and you turn it on every axis and you see, oh man, I did not show up well in this place, and that was a cause of some of the issues, or I could have handled that better, or you start to now be more receptive to how you can improve, right? And that might limit or mitigate some of the things you experience along the way. So you have an ability to impact that, but it's almost 100% how you respond.
I'll say this, to the fact that you can actually turn it upside down and play with it gives you so much power if you pay attention.
Yeah.
Because you're actually now playing with the thing.
Like
now
that.
you realize that it's separate.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right. So
the thing that was designed to hurt you has now become your source of knowledge. Right. And growth.
Who's the person who's doing this? Yeah. So there's so much. I read a book called The Untethered Soul. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it talked about being able to do that thing exactly. Something happens, you can, and it can all happen, James and Isaac, in taking a deep breath. The gap, the space and time when you take that deep breath can quickly allow you to play with it. And now you realize, oh, so it's not me, it's just a thing that I'm experiencing at this moment. What do you want to do with it, Gerren? What do you want to do? When you play with it, you see it and you learn from it, like you said, you glean the information you need to from it, and you can choose, just like you said, Isaac, you can choose to find something from it that serves you versus something that draws you down. And I love the ability to have that power in life. I'll just leave it at that right now.
Your wording, when you say flip it and then play, it allows you to think of being superior to the negativity. You are in charge. There's a great poem that ends with, "I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my captain of my soul." And so now you are in control. You get to do with that negativity, that negative event, whatever you want to. It's not running your life.